I tell couples this at marriage conferences. The worst thing you could do is leave here with 12 things you're going to change about your marriage. You can write all 12 down, but start with one.
Yep.
Know what your capacity as a couple is. Stay focused on what matters most.
So talk to our marriages out there. I want you to give a little advice to a couple that's dating, thinking of getting married, okay? A couple that's newlyweds.
Okay.
And then a couple that's in the throes of raising teenagers.
Wow, you're just going to skip the preschool and elementary? That's the easiest.
You know what? I was just trying to keep it with the rule of 3, but if you want to go with an extra, that's fine.
Well, I always start with the dating to encourage couples, because you know what the average length of dating is before marriage?
What is it now?
2 to 3 years.
That's crazy.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
And there's a lot of reasons for the delay. So I'm not for rushing marriage. I always have to make that clear. I do not believe you should rush marriage, but I'm also for avoiding the unnecessary delay of it.
Yes.
And so, you know, the traditional milestones of relationship formation, of adulthood, that have been true of our parents, grandparents, our generation, and even the kids we're raising, leave home, finish school, get a job, get married, start a family.
Yep.
Okay, our grandparents did those in a very short period of time, if not the same week. Like, it was fast. What we're doing now, and dating's in this, is we've just spread those out. We tell our kids, you really can only do one at a time. So when you're in college, don't work. Get all the degrees you can. But then get your job. Get really established in that job. Save some money, you know. And so marriage, instead of being the cornerstone that you built a life with someone on, it's become the capstone. It's how Mark Regeneris at the University of Texas puts it. And so we say, do all of this. And so we've got these spreadsheet delays, work delays, saying, there's just so much I need to accomplish when most of us got married and we grew up together. And so I just want to encourage, desire is a good thing. So if you're in that sparks season, you know, and that attraction and chemistry phase of the relationship, desire says, I want you. But exclusivity says, I want only you. And so I challenge the dating couples, don't fear commitment. I mean, and don't fear, well, we don't have it all figured out. You know what the negotiables and the non-negotiables are. I want someone who has character, even knowing that still has to grow. But you can get married and grow up together. For the newlywed couple, I always start by talking to the church, because that's probably the group we neglect the most. Most churches I go to have strong premarital ministry and strong crisis ministry, but nothing in the middle.
Right.
So it's kind of I kind of view it's like churches that don't have the young adults ministry, that once they get out of student ministry and go to college, it's just like there's this, what are we doing with them? We kind of treat newlyweds in the church the same way. So what I encourage newlyweds to do everywhere I go is, and this works in Branson again, country music capital of the world, every marriage is a duet in need of great backup singers. So you just had a wedding where you invited 100+ people. Treat them more than just guests. Treat them as backup singers. You don't need a choir. You just need a few people who are doing what the daughters of Jerusalem did for Solomon and the Shulamite woman. Because when we read them in the Song of Solomon 1:4, they say, we rejoice and delight in you. We will praise your love more than wine. So find a couple that is rejoicing, delighting, and praising your love. And some churches call them mentors, some call them coaches. But even if your church doesn't have anything official, you don't need anything official to find that seasoned couple. And the key is, you want to find somebody who's not just been married 30 or 40 years, but they enjoy life together.
Right.
You can see them. And the Institute of Family Studies did a great study, and they found that 78% of couples who regularly attend church together report that they are either very satisfied or extremely satisfied in their marriage. So think about that. You start adding other spiritual disciplines to that, reading the Bible together, being on mission together, giving together towards something other than yourselves. Well, now you're up to 90%.
Right.
And again, not just staying married, extremely happy.
Right.
So for me, engaged couples come back, they start getting into the job and, getting going, setting up the new place. You have to think about the quality of your friendships, because the quality of your friends will determine the quality of your marriage.
Right.
So whether your church has a program or not, you need to find good backup singers.
Right.
And then...
Go ahead and deal with preschool.
No. Well, I would just say with all kids in general, Genesis 2:24 we often look to as a marriage verse, but it's also a parenting verse.
Okay.
For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother. And so that is not a verse that needs to start at the wedding. Like, you're preparing your kids all along the way to leave home.
Right.
So what we say in our home and at our church is parenting is a journey from control to influence. So when your kids are very small, it's the most control you'll ever have. But with every year of your child's life, you're losing control and hopefully replacing it with influence. You and I have adult kids now. It's all we got.
Right.
And the fastest way for me to squander influence is to be controlling. So when my kids are small, and I would tell them when they were small, we love you, you're a welcomed addition to this home, but you're not the center of it. Prioritize the marriage in the home, whether you have toddlers or whether you have teenagers, because you're giving that as a gift to your kids, seeing that, one, the world doesn't revolve around you. You're not the center of this home. You're not the center of the universe. And you'll one day start a family of your own. And so I've always tried to paint a picture, and we think of marriage and parenting as separate, but I want my marriage to be a part of my parenting because I want to paint a picture for my kids that they go, it's the mission statement of Silver Dollar City in Branson, creating memories worth repeating. We love to replace that memories with marriages, creating marriages worth repeating. Let your marriage be something that your kids go, I want that. I want to enjoy life with my spouse one day like mom and dad did. They really enjoyed being together. They were on mission together. They got up thinking about others. I just want that for my kids. And that starts while your kids are in the home watching. They see everything you do. They hear everything you say. They forget nothing, and then they repeat. So,
I've been amazed as my kids have gotten older, the things that they talk about and remember. I don't remember. It was a throwaway comment. It happened on the way to school or, sitting at dinner. It's not the Disneyland experiences. They don't reminisce about, remember when we all went to Disney and stayed for the fireworks and Dad drove home angry. It wasn't that. It was, Dad, you said something in the kitchen one day. It's the weirdest things that they remember.
That's good.
And I think about the things I remember about my parents, too. It was just these little one-off statements they'd make.
We were sitting around the campfire this spring. This is a true story. We're sitting around the campfire, and I don't know why this came out of my mouth, but I said, I don't really have any regrets with my parenting. And then for the next hour, they shared with me some real concrete examples for me to hang on to and to hold on to. After about an hour, I'm like, okay, we're good. Like, yeah, you're good. All right, no, that's fine. That's fine. So I think you and I don't remember because we try to block it out.
He just repressed it. We need a good therapist to pull that out of us, or pull it out of them, probably. You've been doing this a while. How are marriages different now? Now, you mentioned the whole, the gaps in between the stages of the whole before you're married.
Yeah.
But what are marriages facing now that maybe they weren't before, or it's just the same thing but in a different way?
Yeah. So to me, it's like every person and every couple has a capacity. And I'll hear this with parents. They'll tell me it's like, they're tired, so they feel like they're doing something wrong. It's like, you're tired because parenting, it has its challenges. You're exhausted, But to me, I want to focus on what matters most. And we have so much noise coming at us every day, and we don't have the capacity. We really don't have the capacity to handle everything, all the information. I mean, if you were to change every day based on the algorithm throwing stuff at you, like you need to be doing this, you need to be, I'm 50 now, and I used to get exercise equipment, and I haven't purchased any of that. So now I'm getting do you have a chair? Could you just, I can give you a 4-minute exercise every day. That's how bad it's gotten with me, 50 years old. But I told Amy, I can't wake up every day and get 10 new things to do.
Right.
And I think couples today, get off the devices, get off the, 5 things we need to change. I tell couples this at marriage conferences. The worst thing you could do is leave here with 12 things you're going to change about your marriage. You can write all 12 down, but start with one.
Yep,
Both of you
one.
agree with the one, because this is Dave Ramsey's debt snowball. Get energy and excitement off of paying off that little one, and it builds. And marriage skills transfer as well. Couples are just trying to tackle too much and accomplish, with everything being thrown at them online. And I'm just like, just know what your capacity as a couple is. Stay focused on what matters most. You don't have to say everything or post everything you're thinking, and psychologists today call it emotional flooding. And it's finding its way into your marriage where you're just emotionally, physically, and relationally overwhelmed because you just have too much coming at you. And one of my preaching buddies gave up social media altogether. And at first I was like, who told you were allowed to do that? You can't do that. Who gave you permission to do that? And he said, well, I just found myself preaching mad all the time. And that's a good example with couples. Like, I think, what overwhelmed feelings do you have? What stress do you have in your life? And how much of it is just unnecessary clutter?
Right.
To just simplify things. Get back to being focused. So that's probably, and I do a lot of work with the American Association of Christian Counselors, and Tim Clinton's always saying we don't have a mental health crisis, we have a mental health catastrophe, because everybody's lonely, depressed, they're anxious, and a lot of that we're just bringing on ourselves by too many inputs. We need to get back to just the simplicity of life as a couple.
Right.